Hello and welcome to your Tuesday edition of The Nerve. I am your host, Maureen Callahan, and we have an incredible mix of stuff for you guys today. First up, we've talked a bit about GLP-1s like Ozempic here at The Nerve and, the dangers that they present and how the legal drug pushers in the pharmaceutical industrial complex are never going to tell you the downsides. Today, we have a very special guest. We're joined by none other than Jillian Michaels, who might be the most prominent public figure to really sound the alarm about what these drugs are and just what they do to people. And we're watching celebrities shed half their body weight in record time. You know, Amy Schumer, we're going to talk about Amy on The Nerve at Night. She just deleted all of her old Instagram photos in which she was overweight. Next up, we're going to have updates on Stedman Graham's proof of life, because Stedman, now would be the time to make yourself known. It looks like there might be trouble in paradise between Oprah and Gayle, platonically. And then we're going to get into your feedback. We've got some troublemaker art. We've got some other recidivists we're talking about. We've got an open letter to one of our favorite offenders. You're going to love it. And then Bill from Brooklyn is going to join to talk about part 2 of this A-Rod documentary that is just whitewashing the guy, okay? And Michelle Obama would take issue with the word whitewashing. She would say, I'm racializing this, maybe just cleaning up his image. I don't know. But Bill and I both have very long memories. We're both native New Yorkers, and we know everything this guy got up to in New York City when he was befouling both the city and the New York Yankees, okay? Performance on the field be damned. This guy's a bad guy, okay? And the affair with Madonna is the least of it. We're getting into it, okay? And we're digging up a New York Post article about this guy and his favorite stripper who he used to plant at least once in his VIP box at Yankee Stadium in front of his wife and young daughter. Okay? Like I said, this show, it's going to be a banger. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go. If you own a handgun, it's either locked away and hard to reach in an emergency, or it's unsecured and risky. StopBox USA solves this problem. The StopBox Pro gives you both security and readiness, fast access when every second counts without sacrificing safety. And with the holidays coming up, this is the perfect gift for anyone who takes home security seriously. Whether it's for your nightstand or for a loved one, StopBox delivers peace of mind. The holidays just got a little bit safer and a lot more affordable. For a limited time only, Nerve listeners are getting a crazy deal. Not only do you get 10% off your entire order when you use code THENERVE10 at stopboxusa.com, but they're also going to give you a buy one, get one free for their StopBox Pro. That's 10% off and a free StopBox Pro when you use code THENERVE10 at stopboxusa.com. We have talked a little bit about GLP-1s and Ozempic here at The Nerve, but we really haven't gone deep yet, and today we are. And we couldn't be more excited to have one of the very few, if only, major voices out there talking very critically about Ozempic and the dangers that the pharmaceutical industrial complex is keeping from the consumer. We are joined by health and wellness powerhouse and host of Keeping It Real, the Must Subscribe podcast, Jillian Michaels. Jillian, welcome to The Nerve.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much. That was quite an intro. I appreciate it.
Oh, well, we're so excited to have you. So I wanted to talk to me about why you think there is so much groupthink, such a hive mind about Ozempic. It seems like if you're not on it, you are the freak.
Gosh, that's so interesting. Because I'm outside of that hive mind, I didn't even know that was the case. What I would say is, first off, it's an extremely sexy promise, right? One little shot once a week, and you're going to lose tons of weight. You don't need to think about it. You don't need to go to the gym. You don't need to suffer. You're not going to have cravings. Who wouldn't want that? And in addition to that, you obviously have the mainstream narratives put forward, I would say, in large part by Big Pharma, that suggest you can't do it without these drugs. You're genetically disadvantaged. You're completely incapable. Everyone has tried before and failed. Just cave, take the medication. It's a fantastic solution. It's so easy. And people want to hear that. They like that message. They don't want to take responsibility. They already feel shame over it. It's hard enough. And it seems like a simple, accessible solution to all their weight management problems.
I don't think I've seen such a rapid embrace of a new drug so quickly since fen in the 90s.
It is the best-selling drug of all time.
Did you happen to see, Jillian, the 60 Minutes piece on Ozempic, which was an infomercial? It was such irresponsible, quote unquote, journalism. They went over to Norway, wherever they invented it. It's now like the number one export. And there is no mention that there are no, of course, because the drug is so new, longitudinal studies on what this drug will do to the human body long term, let alone the things that we're hearing short term.
Okay, actually, that's not true.
Really?
Okay, now hear me out on this. Okay. Iterations of this drug have been around for quite some time. Having said that, this is the most potent version of this drug. Now remember, this is a peptide, but it's a replica. So they're like, oh, your body makes this. Your body makes GLP-1. It's one of your satiety hormones. Okay, but GLP-1 is in the body for 15 minutes. You take this replica in a shot and it stays in your body for 7 days. And then when you see things like tirzepatide, and I'll get back to the studies in just a second, that works on 2 hormonal pathways. Retatrutide is 3 hormonal pathways. And now they're working on one that works on 4 hormonal pathways. So why the constant pushing of the up button? Well, because the body adapts and you plateau. Now we do, as mentioned, have long-term studies on this, but not on healthy people who only have 20, 30 pounds to lose. This was utilized as a diabetes medication and was only approved for weight loss in around, I believe, 2021. And one more thing, all of those terrifying side effects on the box, including a black box warning for a very low risk of thyroid cancer, but it still does exist. And they're going to tell you there's never been a case. That's a lie. And there have been cases of thyroid cancer associated with this drug. And there have been safety signals out of France. So anyway, when you hear doctors say there's never been a case, that's a lie. And I debunked it with one of these doctors on a podcast. Never lie. All this stuff you see on the box is a result of the side effects from the studies that have gone on for years. So intestinal blockage, stomach paralysis, thyroid cancer, pancreatitis. Now you're hearing anecdotal reports of people losing their vision. It's got significant side effects. There's no question.
We've also heard about suicidal ideations.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. They don't fully understand why this is happening. And I want to be clear that both the FDA and the European Union's version of the FDA were investigating this. And they came forward and they said, well, there's no increased cases of suicide associated with the drug, but they didn't mention suicidal ideation, suicidal thoughts.
Right.
So that actually hasn't been debunked. Now, how does the drug work? How does it facilitate weight loss? Well, it works in 2 ways. Number one, it delays gastric emptying. So food will literally sit in your stomach for an exceptionally long time, which is why, one more little sidebar, they're having to rewrite protocols for anesthesia because people—
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because people are aspirating while they're under general anesthesia, because you know how they'll tell you, like, don't eat before surgery?
Right, like 24 hours before.
Because the food doesn't digest. So they're literally aspirating during surgery because there's so much food in their stomach. And they're also finding, one more little sidebar, people that take these medications, they're finding something called a gastric bezoar. In patients in particular, there was one study, forgive me, it's been a minute since I've looked this one up. I think it was Mayo Clinic. And in people that were going to undergo gastric bypass, I think it was like 22 out of 70 something had this thing called a a bezoar. And it is literally like an undigested, like what your cat would vomit up.
Oh,
Google it.
My God.
I promise you. Throw up a little graphic of it if you get a minute there.
Oh, we will. Is it like, Jillian, is it like a solid mass of food that has not been able to move through the system?
You got it. Yes, absolutely. Yes. And they found no gastric bezoars in the people who are going to undergo the procedure that were not on the medication. So it delays gastric emptying. That's one of the ways that it works. And that is one of the reasons you have side effects associated with it, right? So we talked about intestinal blockage and stomach paralysis. One more thing to keep in mind, and this is just something that I am positing a guess on. Mm-hmm. When food sits in the stomach, undigested for extended periods of time, we know that this is linked to conditions like SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Ooh. So you're wondering, like, what is this doing to the microbiome over time? And the microbiome impacts everything from your immunity to your cognitive function. We don't even really understand all the things that your microbiome does for you, all those little microbes and how they're balanced in your gut. The second way it works, I'm so sorry, I know I'm going on a long rant about this, and I'll be done.
Please go.
The second way it works is it acts on the pleasure center of your brain, which is why people say it quiets the food noise, because the way your brain is now responding to the food, you're not craving it. It doesn't smash the dopamine center of your brain the way that those ultra-processed foods used to, which is why they actually think it would have some benefits for people who have addiction. Mm-hmm. Having said that, right, if this is going to impact the pleasure center of your brain, but you don't have a highly addictive brain, it's arguable that this can be what's causing a malaise or a decrease in libido, because literally your dopamine kick is not on. So that's why they think that. Very long way to get back to your answer.
No, I'm so glad you brought that up, Jillian, because I was going to ask you about this. One of the things I find most terrifying about this drug is that it seems to absent desire of any kind. So like you were saying, they're saying, oh, it could cure all kinds of addiction, whether it's booze, whether it's drugs, whether it's shopping, whether it's sex, whether it's gambling. I can't imagine that to me is affecting it. It's taking away what it is to be human. I can't imagine going through life without craving anything. You know, it seems sinister.
Here's what I would tell you. With all of this stuff, right, whether it's morbid obesity or whether it's severe addiction, there's a cost-benefit analysis. Mm-hmm. So if you're a person who is an out-of-control alcoholic or an out-of-control opioid addict, right, and you cannot get control of your life and you've been in and out of rehab, or if you've been smoking for decades and you've got on and gotten off, you can't get off of it. Okay. If you're not the soccer mom who wants to lose 20 pounds for the summer vacation in Ibiza, and you have 100 pounds to lose, and you've tried over and over and over, and you already have like 5 different comorbidities, type 2 diabetic, all the different health issues, the cost benefit here, you would probably be a candidate. You would have to twist my arm. It would be my last stop. Previously, I would have told you the cost alone is not sustainable. Now they've brought the cost down significantly. You will plateau on this medication. You have to stay on it forever. If you get off of it, all of this comes back with a vengeance. So that's something else that you need to keep in mind. But if you got to the end of the road and you were already on death's door for one of these reasons, then I would say, listen, if you had stage 4 cancer, you'd do chemo, right? But like you'd put it off at all costs because of the side effects. So It depends on the person and their medical care. Somebody like you and I don't struggle with addiction. It sounds like you don't struggle with addiction either. But there's no question, in my opinion, given all the different experts I've spoken to, there's definitely a predisposition. So if a person has a predisposition and this can break them of the habit, again, you might twist my arm.
Right.
There are two other ways I would go about it, but I'll be quiet for a second. And
No. I actually completely agree with you. I think if you're someone who's morbidly obese and you've tried everything and you cannot crack this, of course the risks outweigh the benefits, outweigh the risks. But it's like, this is why those legal drug pushers known as the pharmaceutical industries love this drug. They've got customers for life. The only thing I think about with this drug all the time is the film Awakenings, based on the Oliver Sacks story, where the comatose patients came to life.
Yes.
And then it was a miracle. And then guess what? They went back into their comatose state after, it all wore off. And I feel like that's what's going to happen to the Ozempic army out there. If you have to go off this drug, let's say you develop cancer and you have to undergo radiation and chemo, and they say, you know what, you can't be on Ozempic. There's too much in your system. We don't know how do we even know how chemotherapies abide with Ozempic and the likes?
I'm not sure of that piece. What I do know that we don't know is they're recommending these medications for kids as young as 6 now as a frontline defense against childhood obesity, which is obscene, truly obscene and absurd. And this is because we have GLP-1 receptors throughout our entire body. So what this would do to a developing human body, we don't know for sure. Two other things that I can tell you is that it seems when you're allowed to utilize these drugs in a much smaller dose, when you can microdose them, you will get similar benefits with far less side effects. But in order
to...
Oh, yes. But here's the but. In order to do that, these medications have to be compounded. And the FDA is not allowing, even though people are still doing it, they're gonna go after these guys with a vengeance. I know this for a fact. The FDA is blocking compounding pharmacies from making these medications now.
When you say compounding, what exactly does that mean?
So here's what that means. So you have the drug companies and they make medications, and then there's compounding pharmacies, and some of them have I can't even remember the name of the certification, but if you look it up, like what's the highest level of certification for a compounding pharmacy, and it will tell you. And if you look for that certification in a compounding pharmacy, which I'll explain in a second, they have higher standards than the drug companies do. So a compounding pharmacy is literally a pharmacy that makes all of these things at their pharmacy. So they can make Ozempic. It's not hard. They know how to make the molecule. And then what happens is your doctor can titrate your dose up or down. And this is amazing because you won't experience a shortage. You wouldn't previously have been held hostage to these obscene prices. You would have gotten it for a fraction of the cost, which again, now they've brought it down significantly, so that's less of a concern. But the drug companies don't want compounding pharmacies, like independent pharmacies, making these medications because it costs them money. So they smear compounding pharmacies, and people think like, oh, these are rogue pharmacies. God knows what's in there. But this is absolutely untrue. The reality is that they are held to a higher standard when they have the key certification, which, forgive me, I should have looked up beforehand.
No worries.
They are held to higher standards, and they are inspected more often than the drug companies. And there was a scandal, and I can't remember if it was Eli Lilly who makes tirzepatide or Novo Nordisk who makes Ozempic, which is semaglutide, where they found like cat hair in the lab, something of that nature, and they had to shut down the lab, which is one of the reasons that there was a backlog on the medication, not just because everybody was taking it. And if you look it up under one of those two pharmacies, you'll find it. They had found like contamination in one of their labs. Yeah. So if the FDA will free up compounding pharmacies to make these medications, you can get similar benefits at a fraction of the dose with far less concern of side effects. And then again, this is where I kind of ease up a little bit. Like if we could break the addiction, because there's also a dopamine addiction with ultra processed foods.
Yes.
And you need to detox from that. That's the reality. I've interviewed a woman named Dr. Anna Lemke at Stanford who wrote a book called Dopamine Nation. And she said to me once, she's like, you can try to get to the bottom of all their trauma and all their issues. But if you do not break this physical, biochemical addiction to these ultra processed foods, you don't stand a chance.
Exactly. Those foods that have like zero nutrition, but again, like all drug dealers, they're built to addict you. They rewire the brain. They make you want to eat more and you never feel that level of fullness, that satiety. And you're so right. That is as much of an addiction as anything. And I wonder too what you make of the first person I ever encountered on this drug. I was at my hairdresser and this woman came in and she was like, "Oh my God, my life is on fire. I'm on Ozempic." And she was making all kinds of major life changes, by the way. Like she was like, "I'm quitting my job." And my friend was like, "I thought you loved your job." "Yeah, but now I'm quitting it. And well, what about pancreatitis and the risk of pancreatic cancer?" "Oh, I just have to get screened once a month. No problem." I said to her, she was talking about it so much. I said, "I have got to ask you a question. Does it not bother you that your brain and your gut are no longer communicating? Right? Doesn't this sever that, like the gut, they call it the second brain."
Okay, so actually it bypasses the vagus nerve. You're so smart. I can't believe how much you know about this. So it bypasses the vagus nerve. Now, in a person that's morbidly obese, they already have a dysfunctional gut-brain connection because they've ignored those signals for so long to stop eating. But in a person, this is why, by the way, people who are morbidly obese and people who just have 20, 30, depends on the person, let's say it's a man, 40 pounds to lose, and it's not making them dangerously overweight and unhealthy, and they don't already have all these other side effects, they have different issues. So a person that doesn't have a dysfunctional vagus nerve will in fact get one. Whereas if you're already morbidly obese, you already have a dysfunctional vagus nerve / gut-brain connection. You're spot on. There are so many different things, so many different side effects, so many different tendrils of this medication that people aren't thinking about. And at the end of the day, the doctors are going to show up and they're going to tell you, "Hey, listen, all of these biomarkers improved." And it's a halo effect of weight loss. It's not because the molecule is some sort of miracle.
Right.
So if we could get the weight off of you in an alternative way, you get all those benefits and then some with zero side effects, but people just find it exceptionally difficult.
I find it terrifying. Should I be terrified that the drug is now going to be available in an oral form at a cost of about $149 per month? I feel like the societal pressure, or even the pressure at the doctor's office to just take it, is going to be almost inescapable.
I've thought about this because it does remove a barrier to entry. But at the same time, this is America, right? It shouldn't be a nanny state. People should be able to do whatever the heck they want. And all we can really do is give them the information and tell them what their choices are and what they're facing. And at that point, they're adults. They make their own decisions. Where there is alarm is this should absolutely not be allowed for kids. And the American Academy of Pediatrics is essentially a subsidiary of Big Pharma. They're unquestionably compromised. That's deeply concerning. But at the end of the day, what are we going to do, right? You can't tell somebody what they can and can't do. You can't create barriers to personal choice. And I also, look, it's not fair that Americans pay 1,400 times the amount, or 1,400% more for this medication than they do in every other part of the world. But it definitely does make it far more accessible in every way, shape, and form.
Jillian, I also wanted to ask you a little bit about this stuff as the holidays approach, particularly Thanksgiving, which to me is the one day in which this nation celebrates disordered eating. Everybody starves themselves until 3 p.m. on Thursday, and then they shove everything possible down their gullet, and then they pass out. And then, So how do you avoid that kind of sort of enforced weird pattern of eating, or the let's say you're a person who is trying to lose weight, you're trying to do it the old fashioned way, maybe without Ozempic, and people are shoving food in your face and sort of guilting you and saying, but I made it just for today. It's just the one day. Just eat this, just eat that. How does one deal with that stuff?
You do need to communicate with people. By the way, this is one of the top reasons people quit a weight loss program, period, is pressure from their significant other, pressure from family members. Because in many of these personal relationships, it's an unspoken contract. We're going to be dysfunctional together.
Yes.
I'm not going to call you out. You're not going to call me out. Don't break the contract.
Yes.
So it triggers this weird sense of abandonment for people and they cave. If it's something you don't want to do, you have to establish boundaries with your family ahead of time. Like, I'm working on this. These are my needs. This is how I would like you to support me. If in fact your family dynamic does not lend itself to that kind of healthy communication, you're going to have to set boundaries for yourself around this. Maybe you show up after the meal.
Smart.
Maybe
Smart.
it's like, or you can say, I love you guys so much, but I'm trying to protect myself and this is too tempting for me. It's going to throw me off completely. So I'm going to come in the morning, or I'm going to come after, or I'll see you tomorrow. And a lot of people have the hardest time doing this with their loved ones for the reasons that I just mentioned, and they push back and they get angry. But over time, you can recondition these people in your life with regard to how you need to be supported, how you want to be treated. And once you set up those boundaries, they eventually adapt. But it is hard. And you got to practice it in little steps, one at a time, for sure. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to go to chicken wing beer night for date night. I want to go to swing night dancing or whatever the heck it is. Pick another activity you want to do, condition your loved one, and just say, I'm not going, honey. You can go with your friends. And over time, if you have a spouse that doesn't deserve to be divorced immediately, they should come along. It just takes a little bit of effort.
It does take a little bit of effort. And it's often, sometimes, it's a very threatening thing when one person whether it's a marriage, a relationship, a cohort, a family system, changes. That can be a threat to the ecosystem of the group. It can cause people to maybe look at themselves and maybe not like the choices they're making. And you can wind up with some saboteurs in your midst. And, it's a real struggle, but that's really great advice. I love the idea of maybe just showing up early, showing up late, removing yourself from the.
Bring your own food or suggest that you cater it. There are ways of doing this, but really it's all about family dynamics. And that's the part you have to work on. There are two things I feel like I'd be remiss though if I didn't mention to you about this. Plastic surgeons.
Oh my God, yes, I wanted to ask you about that. Thank you so much for bringing that up.
That's real. And it isn't about fat loss. That's not the problem. I've taken hundreds of pounds off of, I don't know, tens of thousands of people, that I've worked with or that have utilized my programs and sent in before and after photos. They'll look better, not worse. What they think is going on, and there is some preliminary research to suggest this, they think that these medications might be dampening the stem cells
oh my God.
In like the subdermal layer of your skin. So people aren't healing properly, quite literally after plastic surgery. And so it's more than just muscle wasting. It's more than just fat loss. They're literally not healing properly. They're losing hair by the fistfuls.
Oh my God.
There are things about this that we don't understand. So
yes.
That one's concerning.
Catherine Deneuve had it right. Ozempic or not, it's your ass or your face at a certain age, right?
I've tried to get around that, by the way. Like I've tried to do like the fat transfer from the ass to the face. And I do. I'm like, how many times do we have to do this? The fat just dies. I'm like, okay. It's just, it is your ass or your face. So I got to be probably, I don't know. I'm a small person. I'm very short. So like 5 pounds makes a difference. But like, why can't I want to be like, go here and go here. Like, don't go to the mid-thigh. That's not where I want it. I've tried
that's so relatable of you, because I think most people look at you and think you've cracked the code, you've figured it out, you look phenomenal. She clearly does not have to struggle, but you like everybody else, you have your insecurities. It's incredibly endearing.
Oh my gosh, you're very kind. Yeah, like one more thing, don't do filler. Put your ass in your face if you can afford it.
Oh, I do filler.
Don't do filler, mama.
No, why not? Why not?
Don't do filler.
Why not?
It doesn't dissolve properly. I know they say that it does, but they can see this stuff on MRIs, and it forms scar tissue in your face. It's got it's. Can I suggest there are a couple of amazing plastic surgeons, obviously out there. I wonder if you could get maybe Steve Levine to be honest and talk to you about it. A lot of them don't like to talk about it because it's part of their business.
Right.
So when they open up people's faces, there's filler in there for years. Like you get a full body MRI and they will literally be able to see filler in your face.
Wow.
I'd strongly suggest you look into it and put your buttock, have them draw that in your face.
But you're telling me it dissolves anyway. It's not like, what are we to do?
You gotta kind of go back every couple of years to do it. It's a pain. I'm currently in need, but listen, it's definitely a safer way to go without question. And I suggest that you bring on like a great, you know who is amazing? I don't think he does interviews though, is a guy named Brian Novak. He's kind of Hollywood's best kept secret. And he's the one that I actually interviewed when I wrote about this stuff for the Daily Mail. If you could get him to do an interview on filler and on Ozempic, he'd be the guy.
Oh, I'd love to. I just want to say in defense of my derm, she has never, ever not said the filler doesn't stay around. She's never not said that. And I do love her. But you know what? This has been so fun. It's been so fun talking to you. I'm really excited to meet you in person. I've never met you in person, but we're going to be on the same stop at the MK show in Anaheim next Friday.
I know.
Right?
I'm super excited as well. My wife, by the way, wanted me to tell you that she's a huge fan. She watches you. I mean, I of course, I'm also a fan.
Oh my God, that's so nice.
She's like, tell her I think she's great. I was like, okay.
Oh my God. Well, hello to your wife, and I look forward to meeting you both very soon. Take it easy, Jillian. Bye. Thanks so much to Jillian Michaels for some real talk about real dangers of the GLP-1 craze, of the Ozempic craze. Buyer beware. You know, this stuff is, anything that's sold to you is like a panacea, a cure-all. Your antenna should go up immediately. So, what a conversation. And she's so brave. She's one of the very few people out there talking to all of us about the dangers and the cost benefit analysis. Not to say that this isn't good for certain people in certain situations, of course, but the dangers are real. So we really appreciate it. And we will be back in a minute. The key to losing weight and keeping it off isn't about cutting carbs, avoiding fat, or loading up on probiotic-rich foods such as yogurt. Achieving a healthy weight, boosting your energy, and living a vibrant life comes down to flipping a switch in your body that helps flush out unnecessary calories. And Dr. Stephen Gundry calls this the caloric bypass. By activating this mechanism, he's seen thousands of people, many over the age of 50, dramatically improve their health. Dr. Gundry himself lost 70 pounds using this research and has kept the weight off for over 20 years. His digestive issues disappeared, his health soared, and he now feels younger and healthier than he did in his 40s. His video has been watched by over 20 million people to date, and you can watch it and learn more about it at thehealthyfat.com/nerve. It's linked at the bottom of this video, but he'll teach you exactly how he has kept his weight off for free at thehealthyfat.com/nerve. We are back. Now, before we get into your reliably incredible feedback, we have a few celebrities to address accordingly. Michelle Obama is on, she's on this tour for her book about how beautiful and stylish and awesome she is. And she made a pit stop in Brooklyn the other night. Marlena volunteered to go. I said, save yourself. Do not do this. So Michelle Obama was in conversation with the supremely unhygienic Tracee Ellis Ross. And, she's in the running for our Nerve Awards. Well, both of them are, And just when you think that Michelle can't get any more racialized, and she can't blame the white woman for any more than she already has. She outdoes herself. Here we go.
A lot of people want to know, well, what do braids mean? What does she mean? Look, y'all. We are
Tracy,
mean. What, you know, I mean, that's what white folks
just
are. So
dying.
what does that mean? What are you saying? We're saying nothing except I just don't want to have to do my hair every day. And I want
Tracy is doubled over in
I want to go
laughter.
swimming. I don't want to have to worry about it. Let me explain something to white people. Our hair comes out of our head naturally in a curly pattern. So when we're straightening it to follow your beauty standards, we are trapped by the straightness. That's why so many of us can't swim and we run away from the water. People won't go to the gym because we're trying to keep our hair straight for y'all.
So for Whitey, Michelle, by the way, her hair is straight for that event. It's straight for that event. Now, I'm going to talk as a white woman who loves to swim. Do you know what I have to go through every time I get in the pool? I have to put a special mask over my hair, and then I have to put a swim cap on top of that. And then as soon as I'm done swimming, it's not like I can just lay around by the pool and read a magazine or take a nap. I got to take a major shower and shampoo immediately after. And that shampoo involves at least 4 parts, okay? Because my hair is so damaged from bleaching it that you have to be extremely careful when it's exposed to chlorine, okay? So she can shut the fuck up. It's difficult for every woman. Swimming means you got to deal with the hair before and after. Same with going to the gym. If she really thinks it's that racist and she's out here trying to get white America to buy her book about how fucking awesome she is, I don't know why she's running around town with straightened hair, okay? Now, on to other recidivists. Gayle and Oprah. Gayle went on Andy Cohen's show. I'm just Andy Cohen. And she's got some complaints. It seems like her relationship with her platonic relationship with Oprah, it's not all hearts and flowers, you guys know. Oprah can bug the shit out of Gayle now and again. Here she goes.
What is one fight that Oprah will never win with you?
I don't understand. Oprah guys likes to ride in the car. Tiffany, you have friends that like to ride in the car with no music.
Oh. Yeah, right. That's
I just can't.
I can't.
It drives me crazy to be in the car. Can we just listen to some music?
No, you can't, because Oprah is the one in charge. Don't forget, honey, you're there to tie her shoelaces. Literally. She doesn't even want to. It's amazing, right? This is further proof as your cultural criminal prosecutor that Oprah is not nearly as smart as she's been getting away with branding herself these many years. I think a bright mind wants to be occupied with stimuli, especially when being on the road for hours. I drive a lot and I would be extremely bored if I didn't have music or podcasts or audible books. Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand how you could just sit like that for hours. Like Oprah's driving anyway. Please, I don't even think Oprah really knows how to drive. Anyway, on to Stedman. Now, Stedman, we put out an email and then followed up with a call on the nerve to Stedman. We emailed him directly saying, "Hey, dude, like, are you still alive? Like, nobody's seen or heard from you in like a long time." And Oprah and Gayle are going over to Venice to the Bezos Sanchez wedding, and then they're going over to Kris Kardashian's for her 70th birthday. They're like everywhere together, and you're nowhere. And so Gayle a week ago posted a carousel on Instagram from her son's baby shower. And at the very tail end of this carousel, that's important, that tells us something, there's a big group photo, and Stedman is pictured in this photo standing behind like a bunch of like large baby blocks that seem to spell out baby. I don't know what that means, but this photo proves nothing to me. This does not prove that Stedman is indeed alive. He could have easily been AI'd into that photo. Okay. you're going to give me proof of life. I want video. And even then, video is like, it could be AI. It has been 9 days since we have heard nothing back from Stedman. Again, a direct email and a direct call here at the Nerve. And we're not going to rest, you guys. We're not going to rest till we get a response from Stedman proving that he is, in fact, intact and that those two haven't buried him somewhere on their Montecito estate. Okay, now. Oh, I have a movie recommendation for you guys. I stumbled across this movie on Sunday, lazy Sunday afternoon. This is why I love Turner Classic Movies. And I'm so glad that like the power broker directors like Scorsese and Spielberg marshaled forces and saved Turner Classic Movies, because you can stumble upon a gem. And I am a real movie buff, and I have never seen this movie before. Brief Encounter, British, 1945, stars Celia Johnson and Trevor Howard. And Celia Johnson is this married woman who lives in suburban London, has a very comfortable life, husband, children. Every Thursday, she goes into the city, she takes the train, and she takes herself out shopping, and then she goes and eats at like a favorite restaurant, and then she goes and takes herself to the movies. And it's really about those like very simple pleasures in life, and she's content. And then one day at the train station restaurant bar, she meets this man, Trevor Howard. He's a doctor, and they strike up a friendship, but really they know they're about to embark on a love affair. And it is one of the most incredible films I've ever seen. It was written by Noel Coward. It was directed by David Lean. It's in black and white. Seems like a very modest story, but it's so true to life. And everything these characters say and think and express is just timeless. And I was wondering a lot about where, in terms of World War II and the chronology, this film was shot, because there's something about it that almost feels like the emotions are so raw. You can tell that everyone making this movie the war was very, very, very close. And in fact, and I love this about Turner Classic Movies, because they always give you a little bit of a bio about the film in the beginning, and then at the end, they were saying that the film was being shot in London during the war, and that they actually broke production for a little bit when it was announced that the war was over, so that they could all celebrate. And then it was released in 45. But the war is very much with that movie. And there's something about like the train station and commuting and, living on the edge of a city and then being in a city. And the ending is just sublime. It's sublime and it's so human. And I cannot recommend this movie enough. And the casting is brilliant. Celia Johnson, this incredible actress, not a raving beauty, but the way she transforms her face, like when she's in love, she's falling in love, she lights up and she becomes like almost beautiful, really. And then when she's despairing that she's going to lose this guy, that and she's really torn up about it, and her marriage, she extinguishes her own internal light. I've never seen anything like it. So I recommend it highly. And it's on the next time I'm lucky enough to go to London, I'm going to add this in. This film has so many devoted fans that the train station where they shot it is a tourist spot. And then they kept the restaurant at the train station where the bar / eatery, that's been restored in its mint condition as it was in the movie. And you can go and you can eat and drink there. And it's definitely on my list of things to do. Brief Encounter, remade very unsuccessfully, I believe in the 80s, with Meryl Streep and Robert De Niro. They moved the setting to New York City. They called it Falling in Love. Bomb. Go for the original. Okay, now on to your feedback. First, thank you for shining a light on the manure, which is otherwise known as Hollywood, the Markles, now the movies. This is why movies are tanking. And we're going to talk to one of our pals about it on The Nerve at Night. You know, Glenn Powell just had a movie released over the weekend. I believe it was just this weekend. The Running Man, remake of a Schwarzenegger hit from the 80s. Tanked at the box office. Nobody is going to the movies anymore. This troublemaker, Deb G, says 3 factors. Affordability. I just saw Blinded by the Light, and the $10 matinee is 3 times higher than 5 years ago, and she's in the Midwest. Popcorn and a soft drink, another $30. The real issue is that people can't afford to go to the movies. 2, politics have zero place in entertainment. Could not agree more. 3, fierce competition for the entertainment dollar. We have the power, the consumer, to change the channel if we don't like a program. Like, yeah, get with it, Hollywood. Okay. Okay. This is regarding William Maher. The subject header, William Maher. I will keep this troublemaker anonymous. Many years ago, he was being relocated by HBO to New York City. He was given a generous relocation package to pay the rent and the broker's fee. This is a former realtor. I worked with his assistant, a sad, beleaguered woman. She was petrified of him. I found a great place for him on the Upper West Side. When it came time to pay me my broker's fee, he refused to pay it. He is an evil, malicious little troll. Okay, this from, I love this. This from a troublemaker named Casey B. Laugh out loud. Boys of all ages love The Nerve. Dear Maureen and team, please enjoy this photo evidence that even the littlest of men can't resist The Nerve. This is my 8-month-old son, Vinny, and believe me, he's a grade A troublemaker. And here's Vinny watching me with Kinsey. Oh, this is so adorable. I can't even take it. Maureen, loves the show, loves the talk about the narcissists among us. Okay, we talked about Jack Schlossberg and his run for Congress. Not knowing much about him, I looked with interest at his Instagram. You do know, I do, troublemaker, I do, that he has several video posts that begin with ask not. Get original, Jack, okay? He is definitely tuning into you. I know. Keep it going. We support you all the way. Thank you. And she says, my Mo bro husband shall remain a loyal troublemaker as well. And here's this. Okay. Okay. Oh my gosh, Maureen. Regarding Alex Rodriguez's centaur, Bill from Brooklyn is going to join us imminently to discuss A-Rod's many scandals. I just saw the episode you did with Bill from Brooklyn, which showed Alex Rodriguez's centaur painting, and I literally gasped out loud in disgust. The only reaction, troublemaker. Seeing his smashed up, swarmy little face under that Yankees hat with half of his body as a stallion. I had no idea what a piece of garbage this guy was and troublemaker is. This is why The Nerve exists. Finally, a nod to The Nerve on Twitter/X. Troublemaker Bonnie emailed me this screenshot. Some brilliant mind over on Twitter reposted, live, laugh, push me into the wood chipper. The Nerve. The Nerve is having a little bit of an effect in the culture. I love it. I love it. Okay, now as part of The Nerve's ongoing humanitarian efforts, we are expanding our reach. First of all, we need to tip our hats to Paul from New Zealand, who sends in the artwork faster than we can keep up with it. We love you, Paul. But this in particular, I put this on my Instagram as well. Stedman Graham in a coma with those 2 ghouls, Oprah and Gayle, standing over him, and a do not resuscitate order perched floridly and in high prominence at Stedman's bedside. Stedman, my man, you have got to raise your hand and say, that you are alive. Okay. Now, moving on, and we're keeping our eye on that as discussed. We will be checking in next week to see if we've heard anything back. We have sent out another email expressing our concerns here at Nerve Central, and this time it was for one William Maher. Actually, it wasn't just for Bill. Really, it was really in service of his podcast guests. And here's the email that we sent. Dear Bill, after hearing your admission that you masturbate before shows, we have serious sanitary concerns for your podcast guests. Please be in touch to schedule an inspection of your club random basement with blue light, luminol, and STK sperm tracker ASAP. We're not saying you're a sex offender. We're just saying thank you for your prompt attention to this matter. Signing off in good faith and disgust, the Department of Health at the Woodshed, The Nerve. We'll let you know if we hear back. Something tells me we won't, but Marlene is on top of it. She's sliding into those DMs and she's posting it on Bill's YouTube channel. We know Bill's watching, okay? We know. Now, please keep your emails, feedback, thoughts, suggestions coming. Email me at Maureen@devilmaycaremedia.com or DM me on Instagram at Maureen Callahan Writer or at The Nerve Show. And remember to subscribe to The Nerve's new Substack at thenerveshow.substack.com. And attention, troublemakers on the West Coast or any of you heading west, I will be joining Megyn Kelly on the Anaheim stop of her live tour this Friday, November 21st, and I will be doing the meet and greet as well. So I'd love to see you there. Grab a ticket. There are still a few left over at megankelly.com. And up next, Bill from Brooklyn talking a little real talk about fake people, namely one Alex Rodriguez, will be joining us after the break. See you in a minute. Find your calm this holiday season with Peak. Peak is a luxury wellness brand powered by rare plants and cutting-edge ingredients, offering the perfect remedy for this season's hustle and bustle. Their science-backed botanicals, minerals, and vitamins support metabolic function, immune health, sustained energy, and radiant skin. Peak's Sun Goddess Matcha is an organic superfood blend that redefines your daily ritual. Crafted from the purest tea leaves, it provides a smooth, sustained energy for a calm mind and a radiant glow. Plus, the nutrients in their matcha can help curb sugar and hunger cravings, making it easy to stick to your wellness goals. Feel the holiday magic and unlock your healthiest glow with the most exciting offer of the season, 20% off site-wide for life, plus a complimentary exclusive holiday bundle. Go to peaklife.com/thenerve. That's PIQUE life.com/thenerve. This is hydration redefined. Try it and glow from the inside out. We are back, and we are back with none other than Bill from Brooklyn. We are talking the A-Rod doc part 2, and this is the part that allegedly is getting into his affairs with strippers, everyone from strippers to Madonna. Okay, A-Rod ran the gamut. A-Rod as a contrite ex-husband, father of 2 girls, a girl dad, and the rivalry, with Derek Jeter, who, Bill, Jeter shows up in this doc and you could have knocked me over. We're going to get to it. First, we're going to look at the beginning of part 2, in which A-Rod says he's a different person than the kid who signed to the Texas Rangers. He's not. In fact, he's even worse. But this is his brother and one of his paid associates / friends on what a motherfucker Alex Rodriguez can be. Here we go.
Alex is my brother, sensitive person, and A-Rod is the killer. the motherfucker. He's gonna go down your throat. He's gonna snatch it out of you.
Walking down a
A-Rod is
five-star
someone
hallway.
that ego doesn't fit inside this hotel. And would walk around very cocky. You know, I'm the guy.
That shot at the end of that statement, I'm the guy, and he's like in the back of an SUV wearing his mirrored sunglasses and pouting. It's just peak A-Rod. Okay, so what do you make of that table setting for part two?
So I think, first of all, thank you for having me back.
Oh my God, love having you.
So I think A-Rod's always been A-Rod, right back into high school. When you look at the level of performance that he's had over the course of his entire life, he's probably never been told no. And that includes from high school coaches who knew they'd be fired if he was upset with them in any way. So he probably became this persona at such a young age. He knows nothing else. This is just who he is. And I don't, for some of the message that was delivered through this, or the attempt at appearing somewhat apologetic and more like a human being, I don't buy any of it. I
Same.
think the guy is just an arrogant piece of shit.
He's an arrogant prick.
Will never, ever change. It's just who he is. The one thing I would have liked to have walked away for at least through episode 2, own it a little bit. Don't try to lie to us. Don't try to tell us you're not this guy. These were just bad choices you made. Plenty of other athletes out there who have made mistakes and owned it and live with it and are still celebrated. Mike Tyson for being one of them. I mean,
Mike Tyson's a convicted rapist.
Yeah. So there's a slew of them. I mean, even you go to Kobe Bryant too, right?
Another person who was credibly accused of rape. I believe he paid that accuser off, right? That's how that went down.
I think definitely something wrong happened in that hotel. And that one really conflicts me, but I think looking back at him now, I think Kobe kind of changed who he was, because you would see him telling people, be better than me.
Yes, remember we talked about when Naomi Osaka started lighting up the tennis courts and she won that match against Serena Williams. And I sent you this profile of her, and she talked about getting a call from Kobe Bryant, and he wanted to meet her, and he wanted to have one of those like face-to-face meetings like an elder statesman will have with a young up-and-comer and say, listen, here's how the game works. Here are all the pitfalls. And he said to her, do better than I did. And I remember talking to you about that, and you took that to mean I was guilty of that. I did that. I committed that rape.
That's my belief on it. And I'm not one that generally believes people can change. And I think A-Rod is just, he solidifies that in me. But, there always is the one-off. And, for me, I would like to think Kobe did. I mean, he, died a horrible death. But A-Rod, I think this is just a movie script being written to try to get him into the Hall of Fame.
This is a total Hall of Fame play. And you and I are going to get into the real shit that these documentarians, how dare you call yourself a documentarian? This is a hagiography. Like, A-Rod agreed to go along with as little as he possibly had to in order to get to the hurdle of just let me in the Hall of Fame. Okay. Because the only thing this guy cares about, the only thing he cares about is baseball. And now we're going to get to, the interview he did with Esquire magazine. The headline was, A-Rod is underpaid. I mean, at the time, he was the highest paid guy in all of professional sports, not just baseball, all of American professional sports. He does this interview with Esquire in which I'm going to read the quotes that they just show on screen. And by the way, here's another little thing that is well known in broadcasting, but not so much in the public bloodstream. The reason why, when you are watching a show or a movie or a doc and they show a letter or a text message and a character reads that out loud, it's because more of the population than you would know is illiterate. So it has to be read out loud so everyone can understand it. But in this documentary, they simply show the offending quotes in question regarding one Derek Jeter, beloved by the city of New York, And A-Rod attempts to just bat them away, and he uses the coward's way out, which I'm going to get to on the other side of this. Here we go.
Many question whether the two are friends or rival. Some unflattering remarks A-Rod made about Jeter in a magazine article 3 years ago still fuel the fire.
Jeter's been blessed with great talent around him.
I thought it was actually pretty vanilla. I complimented the whole team, and they took that and ran with it. That put a strain to our relationship for years.
I sometimes think if that story never came out, it might have been like a fairy tale. I mean, those two were best buds.
That's Michael Kay, the legendary Yankees commentator who Alex says he listened to after every game. Okay, here are the quotes. Here are 3 quotes from that Esquire piece that Alex Rodriguez said. Jeter's been blessed with great talent around him. He's never had to lead. He can just go and play and have fun. You never say, don't let Derek beat you. He's never your concern. Now, Alex does what like cowards like him do. First of all, don't believe everything you read. You know, the media really took that and ran that. You know what, you fucking asshole? You said it. And I hate when they do that because it makes people think that they should question what journalists and institutions like an Esquire or New York Times or any publication has to do, which is vet a story through layers of legal before it ever sees print. And if he never said it, he would have said, I never fucking said it, but he knows it's on tape, so he can't say that. Instead, he blames the media. Bill.
There is no way you could take any of that out of context. I mean, he said what he said. He knew then that Jeter was going to go down as having the better career than him. And I think that probably fueled a lot of the steroid use, just with this obsession of being the best, right? Always being number one. And he was a Hall of Fame talent from his 4th or 5th year. Like, the only reason he's not in the Hall of Fame is because he's an asshole. It's not because he wasn't talented enough.
100%.
It's not because of the steroids. It's just because people don't like him. Now, one thing I will tell you, Michael Kay has a radio show that I used to listen to for a while too. And I have a feeling the only reason Michael Kay is in this documentary is because there was a period of time where A-Rod would not talk to Michael Kay.
Really?
Because Michael Kay just told the honest truth about and spoke honestly about him on his radio show about the steroid allegations and everything else. But Michael Kay always would remind the public that quietly A-Rod was the only Yankee that acknowledged his mother's death. He had sent flowers.
Really?
I believe it was to the funeral home. So I got a feeling that's going to sneak its way in here some way, just to show that A-Rod
he's a
really
human.
is that he's that good guy. And I don't think that act of sending flowers to Michael Kay's mother's wake, I don't think that was anything more than a very well organized and strategically placed move with the media that he would know at some point he would need it.
Because the media got word that he sent flowers, correct?
No, it never made its way out except on Michael Kay's show. Not that I saw it.
Well, Alex Rodriguez had to know that Michael Kay would say that. He had to know. As he says in this documentary, first of all, he's so freaking weird. We're going to go to his daughters. Okay, we're getting A-Rod at home with the ex-wife and the 2 daughters who he never saw because according to everybody, including A-Rod, from the time he woke up at like 4 a.m. till the time he put his head down at night, it was baseball, 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 baseball. Okay. He never saw these kids, but you know, the kids need to be in the will and whatever. Here we go.
He'd have a night game and he'd leave the house, like mid-morning, always the first one there, same parking spot, after the game, shower in a suit. And then when you get home, watch the game over again with Michael Kay commentating in the back, and he wouldn't go to bed until he watched the whole game again.
He's only 10 tops.
Anybody who knows my dad knows he loves me and my sister more than anything. He's so affectionate. But looking back, because of how hard he was working, he wasn't always around. Most of the time he wasn't around in my childhood. Love him, but that was just the reality of it.
Bill?
I feel like the kids are just nothing more than a pawn. It's like a rapist an accused rapist finding a woman defense attorney. They're just up there as pawns to say, hey, look, I'm a good guy. I have daughters.
Right.
And to drag them through this and to have to publicly, put them out there for everyone to see and to listen to all the things he's done to their mother, done to their family. Like it's a rough one. I would have had a lot more respect for him if he said, I'm keeping my kids out of this, not to bring them through my mistakes. I don't see the reason to put them out there just to gain a little more sympathy.
Oh, we got to get into that Hall of Fame, Bill. We got to get into that Hall of Fame. There's a part of the documentary too where Derek Jeter is speaking about this, and as I told you, I texted you the other night when I was watching it. I almost fell off my chair when I saw Derek Jeter had participated in this, and there's such a stark contrast between A-Rod and Jeter. Jeter seems a lot lighter in his post-Yankee life. Like he's laughing about a lot of this stuff. He's laughing. You and I talked about the shot of A-Rod sunning himself. Oh, we're going to watch it. We're going to watch it. But, it's like it doesn't even matter to him anymore. All of the slings and arrows he suffered, all the shit that A-Rod brought to the Yankees' front door. It's like he won. He won. And why do you think Jeter is participating in this? Do you think Jeter maybe feels bad for him? Like Jeter feels like, it's kind of sad that the only thing this guy really wants is the Hall of Fame. So why not just give it to him?
I don't know. I don't know if that's it. Maybe that, like you said, Jeter is just, he's so satisfied in everything he has in life. He had a storybook career, nicknamed Mr. November, only player to ever have that nickname.
Reggie Jackson was Mr. October.
Right. And just because of 9/11, Jeter ends up playing in November and hits one of the most famous homers in Yankee history.
Oh my God, New York wept with joy and relief when he did that. It was like a catharsis. It was like finally we could celebrate something.
Right. I mean, he's got all this. He's got the 5 World Series titles. The fact that A-Rod had to come to his team just to get a title.
Yeah.
All of these things happened.
And he had to give up playing shortstop. Right. There are people in the stock who have to kiss A-Rod's ring and say, guess what? He was better than Derek Jeter. It really was really fucking rough for him to play third base. Are you kidding?
Mm-hmm. I think that's it. And I think Jeter is just at a place in life. He seems so relaxed talking about it that there doesn't seem to be any animosity, any anger. It's just, the guy's an asshole. And, he's saying it without saying it.
He is. He's laughing at it, which gives it so much more power. Like if Jeter were still angry, we'd all be like, there's something wrong with Derek Jeter. But that Jeter sits here and is kind of laughing at A-Rod's antics and bullshit and the way in which he blew up his own life and career is to me like that you are the winner. You are the winner. And the other thing that Jeter did that A-Rod should have done, Jeter never got married while he was like a true baller. He was like, listen, I want to party. I want to go out with as many actresses and supermodels and singers as I want. And I don't want to get caught with my pants down on the road and like have an expensive divorce. He played the game of life, not just baseball, perfectly.
There was another superstar in New York on the other, over in Queens, Mike Piazza. Same thing. Never got married, lived his life. Everybody loved him. Nobody, you never read anything negative about him in the paper. It was just, there was no facade. It's just, this is who we are. We're young guys on top of the world, have more money than we'll ever spend, and we're going to live our lives. Great.
I thought very honest way to be. Okay, so now we're going to talk about, Derek Jeter's going to make his debut here on The Nerve and in this doc. Here we go.
It's a different type of world and
arena. This is ex-wife.
He didn't understand the rules of New York City and what it was to be in that world, in that limelight.
Did you pull up his Central Park pictures laying out on a rock? I never did that. We're sitting there at Central Park, and it is smoking hot. I said, what better time to get some rays? Next page in the New York Post, Sunrod. I didn't think about the consequences. I didn't think about paparazzi. I was thinking about who was pitching that day.
He is such a liar. He totally knew the paparazzi were there. Look at that that shot. His legs are spread apart in a power sexual position. He's basking up at the sun. His shirt is off. His chest is completely waxed. Get the fuck out of here.
And Jeter's laugh as he's talking about it is every single guy in that clubhouse or any locker room in any sport just laughing at him for that. Like, everybody knows that's just a bad look, or just a pathetic look. Just screaming, please pay some attention to me.
I also love how Jeter, he's laughing about it and he's talking to the producer, but then he also looks dead in the camera lens, which is off to the side. Like, he's talking to all of us.
Breaking the fourth wall.
Breaking the fourth wall, because he all knows we're laughing right there with him. You know, what a loser A-Rod is. Okay, so then in comes Katie Couric, who is not my favorite, because she, in her memoir, wrote a lot about how she would sabotage the careers of women who she found threatening. Rather than mentor them or help them, she tried to strangle their careers in the cradle. Ashley Banfield was one. And then she also writes about how much she still loves Matt Lauer, even though we all know he had a rape button under his desk, allegedly, reportedly, and assaulted one female worker at 30 Rock in his office so brutally that she passed out in the hallway and had to be rushed to the hospital, allegedly, reportedly. Katie Couric, I guess like attracts like, because A-Rod finds himself drawn to her and they begin a sort of friendship, which seems suspicious to me. And here she is talking about, she's a very important person. She's getting ready to deliver the news. And her assistant says, A-Rod's on the phone. And so what does Katie Couric do? Instead of saying, hey, I got a national news broadcast to do, tell him I'll call him back, takes the call. Here we go.
I'll never forget getting ready to do the news. Gosh, around 2007, and I got this call, and my assistant said that Alex Rodriguez was on the phone, and he said he didn't know whether he should stay with the Yankees.
Tonight's question is put to you. Will Alex Rodriguez be a member of the Yankees next year?
I think he's going to opt out on this deal, and he's going to go elsewhere.
He has until 10 days after the World Series to decide whether he's going to opt out or stay with the Yankees.
It was sort of sweet and also a little sad that he was turning to me, somebody who really knew very little about baseball, for advice, which seemed indicative of the fact that he didn't really have anyone who really had his best interests at heart.
I mean, Bill, I really think the question is, why doesn't A-Rod have anyone in his corner who has his best interests at heart?
So there's an unwritten rule in baseball that there are no announcements during playoffs, World Series, especially one of this magnitude of the best player in the world opting out of his contract. I believe that no other journalist would have run that story at that time because of the consequences down the road with Major League Baseball. So he chose Katie Couric because she may not have known that was the process. That's an right.
Unspoken rule that you do, that there are no leaks, there's no nothing until a deal is done, and the organization itself makes the announcement, and it's all very well orchestrated.
You don't you don't upstage the World Series. You don't upstage the playoffs.
Okay. And was he doing that, though? Because he said
yes.
He blames his agent, Scott Boras, who was Derek Jeter's agent. He says, well, it was all Scott's idea. He said, you got to announce during the 7th inning stretch. Like, what?
No, that was a poorly orchestrated attempt at just gaining more attention, more news. It's all about the attention. But yeah, that never should have. No athlete, just watch every time there's a player for World Series going on. There are no free agent signings, there are no trades. There is nothing other than the sport itself on display.
Got it.
So there's one more point of the conversation with Katie Couric that was, caught my attention.
Yeah.
It's the note that he leaves in a mailbox for her.
What was the note again?
So he left a note apologizing to her for not telling the truth when she
about
had
doping.
Yes.
She interviewed him for like 60 minutes. She was at CBS for a time, and she flamed out spectacularly. But this really bothered me too, because she's sitting there conducting an interview with him like they've never met before. And she owed it to that audience to say, we have a friendly relationship.
So in that story though, where he apologizes to her for not telling the truth, it's just, to me, it's just a symptom of this entire story and how it's being told. It's not that he didn't tell the truth. He lied. He outright lied about it.
Deliberately, premeditatedly, shamelessly lied.
To soften the blow of what he did. The lying, the cheating, all the scandals, everything is written or said or articulated in some way to soften the blow and not make him sound as bad as he really is.
Yeah, even the way it's photographed, the cinematography, it's very fuzzy. All the tones are like earth tones. They're warm. It's charcoal. It's black. It's meant to convey seriousness and legitimacy. And it's all bullshit. We're gonna wrap part 2 of this with Alex talking about how he wasn't the best husband. You know, his ex-wife saying, oh, Alex didn't understand what it was like to enter the fishbowl that is New York City. That is such bullshit. He was born here. He grew up here. He wanted to come to the biggest sports market in the country. You're telling me this guy doesn't know how it works? He's friends with Jeter and Jay-Z. You know, he's got access to the top levels of the organization, top publicists. Oh, poor little Alex. He didn't know that the tabloids. Like, it's the same thing with like I was on the Rock in Central Park and had no idea I was being shot. Lie. So here is Alex talking about how he wasn't the best husband and he could have done better. And you would think this guy maybe got caught just with someone like Madonna, which like way to effing humiliate your wife. Just at the time, the biggest female star on the planet. Here's Alex.
Well, I mean, first I'll say you can't believe everything you read. Some things are underplayed in the media, some things are overplayed. And this is probably somewhere in the middle. It was not like we were unhappy, but we were growing apart romantically. I don't know. I mean, it's, you know, marriage is challenging.
He seemed to be, you know, extremely apologetic and, you know, not proud of his actions. And we were together about a year, and then I got pregnant with Ella. And then when Ella was first born, a very similar scenario. And at that point, we got divorced.
The Madonna
in hindsight,
headlines.
I could have been a better husband. I could have been more present. I could have been more loyal. I could have been more sympathetic, empathetic, all of it, you name it.
What we're not hearing there, Bill, is our 2 words, I'm sorry. And they showed a clip of Alex having to admit to the media that he had been lying about taking PEDs, steroids this whole time. And he strings a bunch of words together and he gets up to the part where you say, I'm sorry. It's like the most pregnant pause and you're waiting for it. And his lips are sealed shut. And he leans back in his chair because he can't fucking do it. He cannot bring himself to say, I'm sorry. And this is how I know he's a malignant narcissist, because he can't say, I'm sorry.
Yeah, to that point in the speech where he said, and to my teammates, and then he's stuck, right? The emotion is supposedly overcoming him. And it's the same thing as that in that last clip you just showed, where at one point he's talking about all the mistakes and the problems in his marriage. And then he turns his head and he kind of just looks off a little bit. And it reminds me of those LinkedIn picture profiles where you see these corporate executives looking off into the beyond because they're visionaries and they could see so much more than the rest of us can, right? And that's kind of how I feel like this is with A-Rod. Like he's so in touch with it now. Like, let me look a little beyond this camera and show you what a really changed person I am.
You're so right about that. I never even put that together, that like the looking off into the distance is like meant to connote like I'm a visionary, and you're totally right. I just want to read from one of the, again, Alex Rodriguez, you can't believe everything you read. Well, you can believe this, motherfucker, because the New York Post never got sued over it. A-Rod's Go-Go Gal in Home Run by James Finelli, published July 13th, 2008. Alex Rodriguez is, okay, the day before he was busted, that New York Post cover was a banger and a classic. Stray Rod caught with the stripper built like a wrestler at a hotel in Toronto. The day before they were busted together, her name was Jocelyn Morse. The parents of Jocelyn Morse, a buxom blonde former Playboy pinup and Scores stripper who has jetted around the country to be with the slugger at various bars, strip clubs, and hotels, inked a contract with A-Rod's firm to buy a $169,000 apartment. The Yankee slugger's real estate business partner, Constantine Skirtis, the brother of A-Rod's soon-to-be ex-wife, Cynthia, signed the paperwork for the sale to his stripper mistress's condo. It was near A-Rod's hotspots for spring training. Okay. The usually friendly Morse went frosty last week when asked about the real estate deal and if A-Rod helped pay for the condo. I cannot comment on that. She huffed it, but she also told the Post she had heard the rumors of a relationship between A-Rod and Madonna before the story broke that the sports star had paid late night visits to the pop star. Cynthia, his wife, filed for divorce a week later. Morse has been a constant A-Rod companion, cavorting in strip clubs from Dallas to Miami, Las Vegas to Toronto. She was on A-Rod's 22-seat Gulfstream last October when it overran a runway in Burbank, California, an incident that made headlines. She also showed up at Yankee Stadium in April 2007 with two hottie pals. This is the Post writing. That's really not great. Where they brazenly palled around in a VIP box behind home plate in front of A-Rod's wife, Cynthia, and the couple's eldest daughter, Natasha. And it was through the Post reporting that Cynthia learned that her husband had purchased his stripper bimbo mistress, who he planted in front of her and their little girl in a Yankees box at a home game, a fucking condo in Florida. What do you make of it?
So I'm wondering how many other players in that dugout he told about that. And I want to know if he said to anybody, I have my side piece sitting in front of my wife right there. And they were all looking at it, right? Yeah. I'm curious about that. Second, could you imagine, I guess for, maybe a normal person, they would probably be a little concerned if they're plane skidded off the runway with their girlfriend in it and their wife was going to find out. He probably didn't care though at all. And then the last part I wonder is, did all of his side businesses, all of these real estate investments that he made around the country, they were all probably centered around putting a girlfriend in a different city, right? So he's making multi-million-dollar investments just to have a girlfriend all over the place. Like this is, it's,
you know, the other thing about that condo, which was allegedly for the side piece's parents, but they're really for her, is that when the Post started investigating this, neither she nor her parents were living there. Alex Rodriguez's company was renting it out. And the Post knocked on the door of the current tenants and they were like, thanks for telling us that A-Rod owns this apartment because we're trying to get like the refrigerator fixed. And they won't do anything about it. Like our floors are buckling and they won't do anything. This piece of shit who grew up in the projects in the like you would think would give a shit and not be such a fucking, what's the word? Slumlord.
It's who he is. It's just, you could try to disguise it all you want, but he's just a bad person.
He's a bad guy. And like
I don't know any other way to say it.
One of the commentators, one of the Yankees commentators says as much in this piece. He doesn't name Alex by name, but it's in the comment. He says, you could be the worst person in the world. And if you win for the Yankees, they don't really care. Like they only care about winning. But it was like a concession that Alex Rodriguez is like the worst guy going.
Reggie Jackson was not well liked on those Yankee teams. But you hit 3 home runs in a World Series game in Yankee Stadium, you're never buying a drink in this city again, right? Michael Jordan, another one, not really a well-liked person, just,
Circumstances of his
attitude.
father's death, very, very shady.
But for the most part, never, aside from that, never really shied away from anything else. Kobe, the same thing. But I look at A-Rod much like I look like LeBron. Like, they're more worried about their image and people's perception of who they are and who they are as a player and where their standing is with the all-time greats, rather than being an all-time great. The ones who have their head down and are going to work every day and hustling, they just become great. They don't need to tell you they are. Their play does.
They do. And I'll wrap it up with just these two thoughts. One, it really, really bums me out. Like, the ex-wife probably has her own financial reasons for playing along with this horseshit. But like, for his kids to be there being like, so. You got her, right? Because otherwise she's too broken. She's just way too broken. But, for his kids to be like, yeah, dad was never around. And they don't even call him dad. They call him Alex, which is very telling. He was never around because he was just working so hard. He was also never around, honey, because he was busy fucking everything that moved on the road and planting one of his stripper girlfriends in front of you and your mom, humiliating you both and like getting off on it. And secondly, Alex in this documentary says, part of the reason like he's up against it with this Hall of Fame shit is like a lot of people like they don't like greatness. They won't celebrate greatness, to which I say, fuck off. New York, if there's any place in the world that celebrates greatness, that revels in it, it's New York City, the hardest place in the world to do anything, to become anybody. New York City loves greatness and we celebrate it. So he, again, is blaming everybody else but himself. And I hope this documentary backfires and he does not get in the Hall of Fame, because it's a bunch of horse shit.
Agreed. I think they're going to make a last-ditch effort in part 3 to try to make this the return to glory and all these great things he's done in his life. And I haven't seen anything that I didn't know yet, which I was hopeful to see something. I was hopeful that he would expose something that maybe no one knew about, that would say, hey, maybe he's really making an effort here. But all you had to do was read the back page of the sports, or occasionally page 6 back in the early 2000s, to know everything that is in this documentary. It's not really, there's nothing earth-shattering in here.
Seriously, and I would encourage anyone listening or watching to go look at my Instagram carousel, which has like the bulk of the best New York Post covers regarding A-Rod, which just go to show how loathed this guy was in New York. They're trying to make it like New Yorkers loved him for a time when he was really performing. New York loathed this guy from the get-go, okay? Bill, I'll see you back here. Never a fan. I'll see you back here next Monday to wrap this shit up.
Thank you for having me. Enjoy the rest of the show.
All right. Thanks for coming on. See you soon. That does it for our Tuesday edition of The Nerve. Come back and see us tomorrow for The Nerve at night. And if you haven't already, go check out our Substack. It's at thenerveshow.substack.com. It's like a weekly newsletter of everything that's going on at The Nerve, behind the scenes, what we're up to, lots of personal notes for me, recommendations, what have you. It's only like $5 a month to subscribe, and you help the show grow. Plus, if you're looking for some Nerve merch for you or yours for the holidays, go pick something up at shopthenerve.com. And The Nerve is now available on Megan's podcast playlist every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern on Sirius XM channel 111, the Megyn Kelly channel. And we will see you back here tomorrow at The Nerve, where you'll never guess what we're about to say next.